In the far future, there will be only war.
The chains are broken.
This will be a good hunt.
Through the dark veil of space-time.
This is Warp Chatter!
Stone and steel will speak.
Let's get
All
this
right,
over
well,
with.
I've got record hit, and we are here. We are starting. Welcome, everybody, to the Warp Chatter podcast, the podcast dedicated to the Horus Heresy Legion's digital card game, Horus Heresy Lore Warhammer 40,000, and everything kind of in between. This is good chatter. This is a podcast by players, for players, or for players by players. Doesn't matter which way. Today we have got some good stuff to talk about. We've got Vapix joining us from Team Australia for the World Cup.
The land down under himself.
And with me is the crab co-host Axel Manning.
Howdy, howdy, ho.
And I am your host, Scuff D. It's been a couple weeks. I was on vacation for a week, so we took a week off. We're back to it, back in the Eye of Terror studios. Today we're going to be doing a few things here. I would kind of catch up. Thankfully there hasn't been a ton of like balance patches or anything to catch up on, but there are some stuff that is...
I wish there was.
Yeah, me too. There's been some stuff added or some temporary stuff to go over. We got alt arts, we've got a new event, we've had some faction focus videos. I want to get your guys' takes on those. But then we're going to be basically talking about the World Cup. We are over the halfway point, I think, at this point for the group stage. So, kind of revisit the standings, see what teams are looking like they'll probably be advancing into the top cut, as well as maybe take a look back. I think the last time Vapix was on here, we made our picks for the World Cup, see how those have held up. And
our picks were everyone.
Every team came out swinging. There was no one to really say bad.
It was
weird.
It was hard. Like, there were some hard choices to be made. So, yeah. And I think now, don't think that's made it any easier for the games being played. There's always going to be winners and there's going to be losers, but it looks like it's been a pretty fierce competition for those who have followed along on the Discord. And if you haven't, well, hopefully we'll catch you up with that today. So, with that being said, Vapix, you've been on here before previously, but if you want to give a quick introduction to yourself.
All right, yeah. So I'm Vapix. I have the YouTube channel. I was on this podcast a month and a half back or whatever, so I did do my introductions then. Mm-hmm. But the channel is actually going really well right now. We've picked up pace a bit, which has been really great.
Oh, that's lovely.
Excellent.
That's been great. But yeah, I'm also 2-time War Master within the game. And that's first place in the season, just to brag a bit, because why not? And yeah.
Always. Nice.
All right. And, of course, you're on Team Australia for the World Cup.
That's true. I suppose that was probably the most important thing, considering that's what we're talking about today.
Right. So, who is this Australian guy? Why are we even talking to him today?
Yeah. That's
who's
right.
Team leader of Team Australia? Is it you or is it
Yes, pseudo me. We literally Mercury, so Big PP, which is I pseudo vote Vapix as team leader, so we don't really have one.
Okay. It's not like you really need one. They're really just there to make sure the matches happen.
That's exactly right. All I do is whenever the standings get posted or the new rounds are posted up, I just copy and paste into the chat and be like, talk to your peoples, find your matchups.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure Australia is doing fine with that. I know some teams are struggling to get their matches up.
Yeah, some teams seem to be. I've had some struggles, round one especially against Team Kazakhstan, and then there's been a few other rounds where I know at least 2 or 3 where we've had defaults because people just didn't show up.
Oh, that's frustrating.
That's not great.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
That really sucks some of the fun out of it.
It does.
Well, especially when you're playing at that, when everybody has made it to the commitment and knows that they're in the tournament. It's not like it's just like, I didn't realize we were playing. Like, it's a big tournament, everybody's involved, and it's part of a team, so it's not even just like a one-on thing. Like, if you're not making your games, you're affecting the whole team.
Holding back the team.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I actually got probably a little bit too frustrated at this during round one. We were versing Team Kazakhstan, and I had messaged the player who had a Discord, by the way, and it is a Discord event that's been running, so you should be active on Discord. Look, even just to look at it, right?
Yep.
Or have someone to play in your, at least tell you. Like some teams
exactly
are missing
right.
a few players.
Yeah. So I had messaged him privately, and then I did that again 2 days later, and then I pinged him on the channel, and then people were like, "I'll go through this person," and that person was like, "Get this other app and message him through here," and I was just like, "I'm not doing all of this. If he wants to play, it's a Discord tournament. Be on Discord.
Yeah.
I'm not jumping through hoops."
Right, but
Yeah.
you get the notification on Discord, and it's not like that you're playing the game on a different app either. You guys like add me. We're on.
Yeah.
We're playing the same game, like in the same app. So that
Yep.
should be. It should be a. You'd think it would be a simple thing.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, he got around to it, and he got notified, and he came and played, and pre-owed anyways. But
Yeah.
At least the matches happen at the end of the day.
That's
the
exactly
most
right.
important part.
Yes. Yeah.
So, but it's happened a couple times. I think it's happened I think it's happened twice to Fulgrim. One of them was a full default. One of them, he was 2-1 because one of the players ended up leaving the team. They had to replace somebody in, but the matches couldn't get done in time because of the...
I think I heard about that.
Yeah, so they gave it to Fulgrim 2-1 his way because it wasn't fair on the new player, and it was also like, well, but Fulgrim didn't change his player and stuff like that, and that was fair.
Yeah.
So,
We're going to use the terms interchangeably, but Peter Turbo is also Fulgrim 14. For
Yes.
those who don't know.
Yes. Yep.
I've always known him under Fulgrim 14. That's
lot
two
of-
different Primarchs.
A lot of action in the World Cup since I think the last, because I think right when we last talked, when you were on, it was like right the first week, or it was just about to start, so it hadn't actually started.
I think it was the calm before the storm where teams have finally been announced,
Right.
but people weren't told to go at it yet.
Yeah.
Prelims were done, or like very close to being done, and so yeah, the teams were all up.
And then following that also was, because when we talked, I think the idea was everybody has 3 warlords, but you got to win with 2. And it turned out that everybody's got 3 warlords, and you're playing one game with all 3 of them, right?
Yeah, well, you got to play 3 games. If you lose with a warlord, you can reuse him.
Oh, okay. So, but if you win, you play with the next warlord, but you're still playing 3 games.
That's exactly right. Which, had people known that, it definitely would have changed warlord choices.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Some people
Also-
have their
also-
choices based off like how, like, okay, I've got 2 good ones that I'll always go with, and a third, like, could be
To take up the third slot.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it makes, like, Khan is really good against particular warlords, but he loses to others, you know?
Yeah.
For example, my current round, I'm up against Wes from... I can't remember what team we're up against. One of his warlords is Sigismund.
Oh, that's not a good Karn matchup.
Yeah, that's
So my whole point is, right, the other 2 warlords Khan's fine against, it's Ahriman and... I can't remember who, but regardless, fine against those 2. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess I should play Khan first. He would absolutely predict it and play Sigismund first, right?
Mm-hmm.
Had it been the other rules, I would have been just like, I'm not going to risk it. I'm not going to play Khan. I'll play my other 2 warlords because they don't have a good matchup. They don't have a bad matchup. But let's say, for whatever reason, this happens and I play my other 2 warlords first and I win both times. The only warlord I've got left to play is Khan. He will absolutely play Sigismund, almost an auto loss.
right.
Yep.
Right.
I've seen
that
some
would have
people
changed
clutch up
it
against him, but it sure as hell ain't easy.
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. Like, I could still win, and obviously I'll deck tech towards it, knowing that that's his best option and all that sort of stuff. But it had knowing that I, in some cases, in order to get that best result, would have needed to actually play Khan in every matchup, I might have changed it. Because most people, when they've done this, they've done it smart. They go, okay, I've got a mid-range warlord, I've got a fast warlord, and I've got a slow warlord.
Got a DD warlord at the beginning, at least.
Exactly right. So you can't just hard tech towards one particular type of gameplay, and that way you can, if they play one stealth warlord, they're not going to play the other 2, so you still have to tech stealth cards in and all that kind of stuff. So most people are playing people like Vulcan. It's like, well, Khan has a very hard time against Vulcan, or he plays
Taking
against
down a 40
Valdor.
HP and then taking out another 5 HP. That, depending on your luck, and you don't draw any damage cards, Vulcan could just infinitely pop as Survivor.
That's exactly
Bad
right.
matchup for
So
Karn.
it's pretty rough that way, and maybe I would have changed my stuff. Maybe I wouldn't have. I haven't lost a single round. I've either 3-0 or 2-1 up to this point, so it's not really that much of a big deal. But we'll see how things go with elimination, because I know the rules are potentially changing because, well, not the rules, but people are going to be able to change warlords because there is going to be a vote to allow all of the new factions and new cards for the eliminations.
Okay, but yeah, because
This would be
where we're at right
sorry.
now, Night Houses, Sisters and Agents of the Sigilate are not allowed, as well as wasn't there recently a vote to disallow Crucial Choice and Karn's Chosen, or is it just Korn's Favor?
Okay, so all of the new neutral cards that have released are still banned.
Oh, okay.
So Korn's Favor rolls into that because it's one of the new released neutral cards. The only one that had a vote to ban was Crucial Choice, and it did get vote to ban. I think it was about 20 votes to 10 in favor of banning it. Now, I understand the ban. I get it, because the card's dumb.
I want someone to travel back in time and say that word to someone who knows what the card was doing pre-buff. And I want to see the response to, wait, why? Oh,
that card had a 0% use rate.
No, Scuff used it. That's a 0.1.
That's right. I mean, most of the time I played it for the memes, but there was a couple decks that I made use of it fairly well, so.
That's fair enough. I guess
so we got exactly a 0.1% usage rate, and it was Scuff, the hero.
But the card's very dumb now, and to be honest, the one round that it was allowed in before it got banned, I had used it, and the first match ended up being Karn versus Vulcan. I was versing Bellegarde from France, and I won because I Crucicle Choice Forge Breaker turn 1.
Ouch.
I was like, control. The other two cards I got were 2 1-drops, and I was like, these aren't really going to make a difference, but this game's going to go late. I love shooting for 4 for 2 energy twice a turn. So it got to the late game, and I was just like, bang, bang, bang.
Man, they really didn't know what they were thinking with that buff.
No, I don't know how they're going to nerf it, but they need to.
Yeah.
Definitely.
There's a couple ways that I pitched for it.
I have a joke response that I want. Is simple. When you play the Crucial Choice, it does its effect, and then it just puts a Crucial Choice in your opponent's hand. I want to see that thing bounce forever.
I don't think that's a bad idea, but then the game just becomes plain Crucial Choice and its options.
Exactly.
I think that it should put the card in your hand and that card costs 2 more. So you're getting, potentially an 8 energy legendary, but you're getting it for 10.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Even if it just brought back the put it in your opponent's hand, it would be a lot more balanced.
That's what I was going to suggest, because the old card was get a tactic, put it in both people's hands. This one, it should still be doing that. But the problem with doing that is Bloodthirst on Shuriken.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't care what the other person has at this stage, I've got perma-stealth.
The problem especially is that this game was obviously not balanced with the idea of mixing legendaries.
Yes.
Even though we have several things to let us do so, they act like that's not supposed to happen.
Yeah, I mean, Jubak and Kai, I guess, are the 2 main contenders for that, but...
And Kareen, even though the effects usually aren't as violent as Shuriken with Mercy and Forgiveness.
Kareen or Aeon or other cards that have copied or can create, but I mean those were always kind of the meme things. Now when you actually make it a card that isn't memey, you're just straight getting a choice of 3 legendaries. So you're going to get 1 that might be good and 3 that are awesome at best. That's the range of your choices. Unless I'm trying to think, if you had to get the 3 worst legendaries that you could get offered to you, would be Forgebreaker, Horned Raiment, and Invincible Reason.
No, not even that stuff. Depending on your warlord, assuming you're not a Night House Varani is obviously on that list.
Okay.
Because if you're not a Night House, that is a dead card.
Yeah.
I would then argue any of the 70 legendaries that don't do insta effects. So Forgebreaker, Horned Raiment, and House of Rani would be just dead in your hand.
Yeah. So if you get that.
No, another one, Book of Magnus. So House of Rani, Book of Magnus, and Horned Raiment. Boom. That's a useless spread. The thing is, I feel like the card's rigged. Because you'll never see that.
I guess the chances of seeing that are so low because you got to fill each of those slots with those cards. I guess another way to nerf it, which they might end up doing because it's a big nerf but a slight nerf, take away the choice of 3. Play, get a random legendary.
Yeah.
That would be tenfold balanced.
Yeah. Because the other way I was thinking of nerfing it, but it wouldn't even be a nerf. This would take away the randomness of being super OP, but it would make it consistent. Get a random legendary from your faction.
Yeah. That would probably be a lot better. That would also, depending on your deck, be a lot better. Because say someone who doesn't have a full spread, they can get another one. Even it wouldn't be a nerf. You could see it as a buff, but it would at least muddy the pool more. Just make it any legendary. So now you got Astartes in there that may not even work for your faction. That's the only thing I can think of to not kill it. It would make it better under some circumstances, but it would also lower the odds of he's got Contrador.
Yeah,
And the what are they called? Sons of Horus 80 card.
Spirit.
Yeah, that's gonna hurt if that happens.
Yeah.
So at least under this scenario, it's like, he only got like a Hakium or whatever the word scar. What am I even saying? White scar.
Hakim?
Like 2/3 is called. Yeah, Hakim.
Yeah.
That guy is useless.
He's useful if you get him out turn 1, but beyond
I would rather play Jubok.
Jubok is a better way to go, but Hakim has got his purposes every now and then.
Niche purposes.
They are completely niche. But so that card is banned. And I'm not surprised at the voting, but I think what you were saying is like, you understand it. Are you just not in favor of the ban for Crucial Choice?
Oh yeah, I voted against it knowing that it wasn't going to matter because of the fact that I know it's an outlier, but after you ban a card, like banning the stuff that hasn't come out fully yet is good because it means not come out fully, but only has just come out is good because it stops people from paying to win. Oh, the new cards are really awesome, so I'll just play those because I had all these gold. Prevents people who don't have all of that from playing the best stuff. So I liked that. That was fine. With Crucial Choice, everyone should have it. Basically, it should be a common card.
Pure play. Everyone should have it. Yes.
Yeah, it's like it's been out for ages. Just because you haven't used it doesn't mean you haven't randomly collected it. There'll be some people out there who don't have it, but that's like neither here nor there. Not everyone has every card. It's like, okay, Dewback can do the exact same thing. Kai can do the exact same thing. It's like less consistent, I get it, but when you're talking about generating cards that aren't within your faction that break the game, both those cards do it. And so my argument is, not that I want those cards to be banned, but if you're having a vote to ban Crucial's Choice, where's my vote to ban Kai and where's my vote to ban Dewback?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
It's a slippery slope, I play devil's advocate in that. I agree with the ban at the end of the day, but playing devil's advocate in that I think was important.
Yeah.
Definitely. Though I don't think anyone would fight in favor of Khorne's favor. That is a card that if you were grabbing... Though, then again, I feel like World Cup didn't have any warlords who really spec towards it. You know what I mean? I don't think anyone's running a... Khorne is definitely bad as it increases his kill threshold to 14. If
nobody's playing Cypher or Gara.
Yeah. There was no Cypher or Gara running around. But if there was at least one, that would be a problem. Not a big one, but enough where it'd be annoying.
I mean, look, if the rest of the cards get allowed in the elimination bracket when we finish group stage, Khorne's favor will be allowed. I don't see a reason to ban it because if I'm honest, if you're going up against someone who's playing Cypher, you know exactly what they're playing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. It's to tech against it is fine. The person that it's the most dangerous with, I think, is still Khan because he's like, I'm just going to take out a random endgame card and chuck this in. If I get it, I get it. If I don't, well, I'm probably still going to play my exact same game.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. He's going to play.
So
it gives him a bigger threshold if he needs it, but he's still going to do the exact same thing he was going to do before.
Yeah, he's
That's
still
exactly
Karn
right.
who's just going to rush you down with fast troops and such.
If anything, he might just, instead of playing Armor of Mars to buy himself a turn, he plays that to end the game. That's what could happen.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Sorry, one of those warlords who goes big or goes home.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see how it goes. We still have, including this round, it's 3 rounds left because there's 2 groups. Group A has 9 players. Group B has 8 players. So Group B only has this round and next round. And then Group A, which is the group that I'm in, has that extra round to go through.
And I think before everything kicked off, we were, I don't know if we knew what the groups were like just yet. Or we did know what the groups were like, but we didn't know if they were going to take top 2 or top 4. Now we know that the top 4 from both groups are going in, so there'll be a top 8. And looking at
that makes a lot more sense to me.
It does. I agree. I think it makes good sense, and it's good to have a top 8 bracket as opposed to just basically a finals,
Semifinals.
Yeah. So taking a look at the standings as they are now, for running it down for everybody who hasn't followed along, this is just most recent standing. So in bracket A.
Sorry, we should do bracket B first because it's less complicated.
Oh, is bracket B
okay.
with the Nordics?
Yes, because
Okay.
it's got no bias in it.
All right. So bracket B has got, in the top 4 teams are the Nordics, USA, Canada, and it looks like there's a tie between Belarus, Ukraine team, and Russia. I'm not sure how they'll work that out. They both have got 81 points for the 4th slot. And obviously, like you said, they've got, 2 more games or 3 more games?
This round and next round for them.
Okay.
So 2.
Okay. So in the next 2 rounds, it's possible that tie is decided and one of those teams ends up blocking the 4th spot. But those are the teams that are advancing there. That bracket also consists of South America, Poland, and Africa is in that team. So
yeah, it's actually weird how that looks like Channel Log has ranked those, because Belarus, Ukraine is 4th and Russia is 5th. However, I know this tournament is counted on points and not round wins, but if you look at the wins, Belarus, Ukraine is 4-2-0 and Russia is 3-3-0.
Right.
So you'd think that the 3 wins would be better than 2 wins. You'd think that would be on top by that would be the next thing that Channel takes in effect, but I don't know why it's not.
Yeah, is it the wins, or because the way it's ranking here is based off of those points. Did the 3 win was, well, I mean, if they won, they should have had the majority, unless they all won by 2-1, and maybe their other wins weren't 2-1, like weren't clean sweeps.
So the reason why this point system is kind of weird is for the fact that you can lose in terms of game wins, but you can win in terms of points in a round. For example, if one player 3-0s, and so you've got 9 points there, and then your other 2 players 1-2, right? Your team has won 5 games, your opponent has won 4 games, so you've got more points than them, but in terms of the team, they've technically 2-1'd you.
Right. Yeah, they've actually taken that win, but they're walking away with less points.
So it's very weird and that's the main reason I didn't like how it's the point system, because of that exact example. And it happened, I think it's happened almost every round where a team has had that happen. Because in a regular tournament, which I think the elimination bracket will be, it won't be points based. It'll be based off who actually best of 3 between the round, best of 3, best of whatever it is, right? Right. Well, so that'll be a bit of a change.
I think having that too, having the top 4 as opposed to the top 2 at least helps. It makes more sense, but it also kind of helps like respond in a way to that, because aside from those teams that are on the bubble, which could be arguable. I mean, obviously, if we go with Russia and Ukraine, Belarus back and forth for the next 2 weeks, and it's still kind of in this predicament, and it ends up coming down to a 1 point or a 2 point decision, even though one has got a better win record, that's arguable. But the other teams lower down, 6, 7, and 8 spot, I don't think there's even their record. I mean, South America technically has got the same win record as Belarus, Ukraine, but they've got 3 less points.
It's actually quite tight there in the 4th, 5th, and 6th slot.
Yeah, it is.
So it looks like definitely Nordics and USA, by the fact that they're going really well, will definitely be in it. If Canada drops the last 2 rounds poorly, they can be pushed down, but it depends who they versed and who they haven't. Like if they haven't versed Nordics or USA yet, for example.
I think they played
USA. I believe in my brothers.
Yeah, I believe they played USA earlier on, but I don't know if they played the Nordics or not. So, and the Nordics are looking, pretty solid. They've got 6-0 with their wins, and they've got 99 points at the top of the board there in that group.
Yeah, that's very good. That's higher than the Group A.
Yeah.
So they've been doing really quite well.
Group A?
Yeah.
So if you look at the Group A bracket, there's 9 teams, so there's a bye. Yeah. So effectively, you got to think 10 teams, but you automatically lose 1 round. And
the bye is represented by the T?
No, that's a tie from a round. The bye is just a blank slot.
Okay, so those are the blank slots. Okay, all right.
Yeah, so if you see, first is in France, and they're undeniably first at this stage. They've had a bye, and they are higher in points.
Yep.
That's good. But if you look at Germany versus Australia, we're 6 points under them, but we've had a bye, they haven't. So they've played 1 more round and only have 6 more points than us. So if you think in terms of everything, they have a bye, we have a round that we get at least 6 points, we're in second.
Right. Which
That's
if,
why
if they've got the bye in the upcoming round and you're still playing, you could very easily take that spot.
Yeah. Like since we've already had the bye and we are in a solid third, I'm feeling good about it. Like I don't think, unless we bomb out the last 3 rounds, I think we should be fine.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. So France is undeniably first right now. They've got the 96 points. They've won all of their rounds. Technically they beat us, but it is what it is. It was very close. I think it was a 2-1 for me, 1-2 to Mercury, and then 0-3 for Fulgrim.
Or Fulgrim.
So he got smashed by Valdor, I think it was. Am I thinking right? Valdor's in Team France?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
Valdor is German.
I thought he was Team
Germany.
Germany. Yeah.
Well, unless
Might be, okay.
unless they did something and they took
I
France
could be
again.
wrong.
I might be getting confused. Who knows? A lot of rounds, a lot of players.
Team France.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, he got smashed by Orphanal. That's right.
That makes sense. No disrespect to Fulgrim 14, but Orsinol is a very strong player.
Yeah, he's butch. He's great. So yeah, there's that. So effectively, when you look at this bracket, for everyone who hasn't had a bye yet, I take 10 points off because that's the lower end of a win, right?
Yeah.
So you can see here, France has the 5, Germany has the 6, so we take 10 points off them. So I'm counting them as 83.
Mm-hmm.
Then we go to Australia, so our team at 87 with only 5. Then we got Asia in 4th. Yeah, we got Asia in 4th with, again, they've had their bye, so they're in a solid 4th. If you take the 10 points off Germany, Germany goes to 3rd, Asia stays in 4th.
Mm-hmm.
But then you look at Middle Europe and Balkan miners and stuff like that. They're in 5th and they haven't had a bye yet. They're at 76 points and they haven't had a bye yet. So if you take them down 10 points, they're quite a lot lower. They're actually on 66.
Right.
So the difference between, and the same thing with Italy, they also haven't had their bye, so take 10 points off them. So effectively here, 1st to 4th is 80 points plus, 5th to 6th is 70 points and lower. There's an easy 10 points difference between the top 4 and bottom 4, or 5.
So you need to have, you need to have 3rd and 4th, effectively, like just straight up bottom out, and 5th and 6th, like sweep, for there to be
exactly right.
even one spot switched at that point. And what's interesting is Asia is 5-0, but they're in at that in that 4th spot, where France is 5-0 and they're at the 1st spot, because of the point thing. So
that's exactly right. I think with us as well.
I was going to say.
Yeah, sorry, you go.
Oh, I was just going to say, because taking a look at this bracket here, your guys' groups, several teams have got those ties, and I think that really does that factor in, because it looks like it's factoring in here significantly in those bottom 4 teams.
I think that's tied based off points, like in the round.
Okay.
I think that's what that means. Like one team has won 4, the other team has won 4, and that last match they must have tied out a game or something. I'm not entirely sure.
Mm-hmm.
So unless, I don't know if you can intentionally draw in this, but I would say that there was a physical game that drew.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's
that
possible, and as far as I know, like, there's not a, you must play till somebody wins.
No, because the points are 3 points for a win, 1 point for a draw, 0 points for a loss.
Right, yep.
So I think it's just a coincidence that there is, 1, 2, 3 draws in this and no draws in the other group.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to say. Like, I think Group B is more defined in terms of the top 4 make sense. They look like they make sense. I think they'll continue to make sense, although there's room there for some upsets. Whereas Group A, like you said, I mean, like, you look at this here, you factor in the buys and the scoring, and I don't think, I mean, France has got a good lock on first. But that's not guaranteed. But they're probably still going to make top 4. But it's kind of up in the air for everybody else in that the bubble range is wider. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So something I actually forgot to mention that I was supposed to was at the beginning of this tournament, Grey Fox was the tournament organizer.
Yep.
And I think it was 2 or 3 rounds in, we ended up changing to Zacharias. And no offense to Grey Fox, Zacharias is running the tournament much better. He's been communicating a lot more. He's making really good decisions. So it's been running a lot smoother during these last few rounds.
That's nice. Zacharias is a cool guy. We share a large family, so I've spoken to him a few times.
He's doing really well, and he's making good decisions with people not showing up and being fair to everyone. I've not seen anyone say, hey, you're doing a bad job. So
that's good. Yeah,
he's a very wholesome guy.
There has been a lot going. I guess then also when Team USA was on, I think that was before the desperate defense nerf. We finally had our desperate defense rant, and then they nerfed desperate defense, and then when Team Canada was on, and we talked about life after desperate defense in the World Cup. And then we've got further in the rounds, and we've had Corn's Favor added and included in the ban here, and now also Crucial Choice. So, I mean, the World Cup is not just a set thing, which is really interesting, because I think that when we've had the first World Cup way back, it was really, the meta was kind of locked. Like, we didn't allow the new cards, because I think there was an expansion that came out at that time, if I remember correctly. It was the Malevolence expansion with the Blood Angels and Ruinstorm, and I don't think they were allowed or included in the entire course of the tournament.
I think you're right.
So everything that we were playing in that tournament was basically the previous meta. Like, it didn't matter. We were all playing with Magnus and, Kurz, and Horus was in there for a while, Thiel, for briefly before they changed Thiel. So it was kind of like you're playing, like, a different, well, I can't say a different game, an older game. But this World Cup is like has been an evolving creature. Like, it's taken parts. Imperial Fists are allowed. Night Houses are not.
That I find is weird.
Yeah, Night Houses, which are from the expansion previously, are not. The two factions that come out with Imperial Fist, and I understand the newness and not being accessible to everybody, but it's like kind of like what you said with the Crucial Choice and Kai and Jubak. Like, where does it start? Like, you pick one. Why aren't we picking the others? Like, we allow one thing, or we're not allowing the other thing. Like, how does this get defined? Obviously, some of the things are voted by everybody who's participating, but it's a much more interesting creature.
Yeah, I wonder if
So
Lodge
my
Wars
thing-
will share something similar.
I actually talked to Terse about that on stream, and I got a video that'll be released tonight.
Nice.
Lovely. All right, for those in the future, because when this comes out, check Vapix's channel for Saturday's episode.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. But with my opinions on allowing Imperial Fists, I don't think they should be. I know they're not that great right now, and I think that's the reason why they're allowed. If you look at Sisters and the Sigillite, they've got some very, very top tier decks, being Iota and Kroll. With Imperial Fists, they're not actually that great. There's no stupid over the top deck, and I think that's why they're allowed. Although, because they're new, I still don't think they should be allowed.
Yeah, not everyone's going to have the full collection unless they really spent money or really had a lot of gold held up.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here for just a moment, because, I mean, obviously I'm not playing in the tournament. I'm more of a spectator. And we've got the tournament's World Cup, right? The tournament's the best player. We have got a lot of top-notch players. Best players representing the countries to play, to see, what teams can make it out. And it's a team effort. It's weird to me, and I understand it can be frustrating to play some of these decks or some of these certain cards and combos, but it's weird to me to see the best not playing the best deliberately at the top-notch level. It's and it's not a matter of like, okay, well, a choice to hamstring ourselves. Like, it's people not wanting to play something because either A, they're tired of seeing it normally, or B, because it's a threat that they can't respond to. And yet it is a normal inclusion in the game. Crucial Choice, Jubakai, Sisters, Night Houses. Those are things that they encounter all the time. And yeah, they're frustrating. But if you're, I don't know, like part of it, like, I understand it as a player, and I certainly would like tournaments to be fair and not be like, okay, everybody's going to have nights. But I know when you were last on, we also talked about the Night Houses, because at best it just means one player on the team has a night stack. It doesn't mean every opponent is playing nights, or there's three. Yeah, nights.
It doesn't mean all three matches will be nights against a player.
There just would be,
and it just becomes Mech Wars.
Right, there would just be one night player. There would just be one.
We should have a Mech Wars tournament.
One, Sigilate player. it's just weird to me. It's very interesting because I understand it, but at the same time, I feel like that is unusual and different. It's kind of like, people like it's an agreement. Everybody's on the same page, or most everybody's on the same page. But at the same time, is it a real representation of the best playing the best?
So, I guess to respond to that, it's the Knights. They don't agree with the ban for that reason. For another reason other than what you said, is they have been out for a while. People have fought them. People know how to beat them.
Mm-hmm.
They're not unstoppable, or else they would be a 100% win rate.
Yeah. We also know how far they can go. We know that they are strong, but they're not super OP. Like they're very overpowered, but they're not unstoppable. You know how to beat them. Okay, I have to do this. This is what I'm expecting.
They're overtuned, not overpowered.
Yeah. Now, and that hasn't necessarily really happened too much in this game. It has happened a couple times. For instance, Vengeance Garo before the nerf.
Mm-hmm.
At launch, Magnus, where they are, you play this deck or you lose.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, since I guess Sisters and Sigilite have been out for a little while now, that we know there is no super over-the-top broken play it or you lose kind of deck, but had these cards been allowed at the beginning and that been the case, well, it's like, okay, I guess I just lose this game.
Right.
And I think that that's part of the reason, is that we don't know if Everguild released something that was inherently broken.
That's fair. Mm-hmm. I think that, and I know that's one reason when we did the first World Cup why we left out everything from Malevolence. Period. Like, it was just everything was going to be left out because we need to see how it's going to shape up, and that makes sense. And if for those teams who go into the top cut at this point, it's a better time to say, okay, we've had time to allow those cards, or to decide that we're going to keep the ban out there and they're not going to be included in Warlord changes. Because I mean, something very easily could, and a few cards, a few decks did come out day one where it's like, that's a strong deck, not unbeatable, not, instant win, but that certainly could have thrown off probably at least 2 to 3 rounds for some teams who were slower to pick up or to adapt. So I can see that. I think that's a fair point.
Yeah, and so one of the other things as well was when the argument was around the Desperate Defense nerf. In the past, when a big patch comes out, and it's usually when a particular faction has been changed too much, they allow every single player to change one Warlord, and that's kind of the status quo.
Right, yep.
Yeah.
Right? With Desperate Defense, the ruling was not every player, one Warlord within the team can be changed, which I did not agree with. The reason for this is people, and the main driving factor is people like, well, people decided to play this knowing a nerf was supposed to come in, so they shouldn't have been playing it, which I don't agree with. This is the highest competitive tournament in the entire game. Play the stuff that is the best. Do not punish people for playing the stuff that is the best just because it got the nerf.
Mm-hmm.
Also, that excuse is odd to me, because the last word the devs gave on that topic was, it's a card that won't be nerfed, it's fine. So no one should have went in expecting the card to be nerfed that the devs said they wouldn't nerf.
Right. Yeah, there was general, belief was like, wow, we brought it up to Everguild and they said it looked okay, so don't expect a patch on it. My take on it, kind of similar with what you said in terms of, this is the best playing the best, you should be able to find a way to adapt to that. I'm not going to, argue or debate the decision as we're 3 weeks into it. It makes sense that they made a change. It could have been implemented better, but my thought was, it's a neutral card. When the typical credence, or that kind of propagates that idea where we can allow everybody to make changes based off of, hey, there's been a significant patch that affects typically 1 or 2 factions. These are pretty big. Like when Thiel was changed, there was like a third of the people were playing Thiel in the tournament, and like only 2 kept Thiel on following that, but like that affected a lot of people. Desperate Defense was a neutral card that could go in any deck, and but none of the Warlords were changed, and the patch itself was like 5 or 6 cards. So it was like, I understood the option, making it an option, but at the same time I thought, like, that's really pushing it. Like, Fail can still play a deck, like, he didn't change. Nothing in his card pool or his abilities changed. So you at the top level, those players should be able to adapt and adjust.
And you're right, they can adapt and adjust. But when you change a tier 1 deck to a tier 4 deck and say, oh, well, I guess you can play a tier 2 deck now if you're really good at playing this style of deck, it's kind of unfair.
Yeah.
Had the guild been like, hey, we're going to nerf this card in 2 weeks, and people still played it, yeah, they can piss off. They can cop it. But it's the fact that people are like, I am going to play this. And to be honest, I played Khan as a counter to Desperate Defense.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
After that got nerfed, I might have changed Khan, but I wasn't able to because somebody else in my team wanted to change one of their warlords.
Right.
And that was fine. Like, I can keep Khan, but it's like having the option to change my counter to a deck knowing that other people are going to play it would have been nice.
Mm-hmm.
It also would have been nice if Everguild ever talked to us players. That really would have fixed a lot of our problems.
We are overdue for a Q&A. I expect we should have one in August, but I don't know. The last Q&A we had was before they announced the expansion. So it would be nice to see a Q&A following the expansion release. But yeah, I think there would be less. I don't think it would change necessarily matchups, hard matchups, or results, I should say, round results that have happened. But I think it would have been fair had, hey, we're going to make a change. We're going to allow everybody to make the change, kind of follow the standard precedent. But as we said, this World Cup has been a beast of a different color through the course of its life.
Yes.
Hopefully it's on to better stability, especially as we're in the last tail end of the group stage, and I think Top Cut should be a lot easier to follow to it. Do you guys know yet if Top Cut is going to be single elimination or is it going to be double elimination?
I'm not sure, but it'll probably be single.
Yeah, single makes sense at that point. I mean, everybody has been able to get lots of games in. Double elimination would extend it even further. And I know, like you mentioned, I think you got the conversation with Terst coming up, but I mean, we're going to be talking about Lodge Wars 5 here following World Cup. So there will be something for more people to get excited about when this series ends.
Yeah, I'm keen for Lodge Wars this time. They changed it up, and because they were talking about Lodge Wars a long time ago, and it never really got around to happening. So I'm keen for them to actually do it.
Yeah, it's always been good. It's been a good series typically, and I from the changes that are recommended, I think it'll be a lot more involved for players in the lodges. A lot more people getting involved, and bigger community in participation. So that's cool. Should be good, but we'll talk about that on another episode.
That's exactly right.
So let's say so we've looked at bracket B, we've looked at bracket A, we've kind of seen where we're at right now, roughly who is the top 4 for each of those brackets. I want to take a quick look back on the picks that we had, because I went back and I listened to episode 17 when you were on, just to knock it down. They weren't all hard finaled, because I think we had some waffling on a couple on like the third spots. But Axel,
yes,
before the World Cup, you had picked Team Russia, Team USA, and Team France to go all the way. Then after we had teams selected and we had players identified on the teams, you made some changes to your picks. You picked Team Canada, Team UK, and I think you were questionable on Team Germany. That was a hard one for you. I think you settled on Germany, but I've got a question mark there. Wait, is Team UK on here? Are they the Isles?
Yeah, they're the
It's got to be because Steve's on that, so yeah.
Okay, they're the Isles. Like, where's UK? Like, are they even?
They're on there.
They are a team.
Because
okay.
Yeah, they're basically Team England, because I'm pretty sure it's just the English on there.
Okay, all right, okay. So your picks now: Team Canada's looking okay. Team Germany is looking okay.
Team France is looking very okay.
Team France which is one of your first picks, is up there. Are you gonna change your picks going into? Should we do a pick when we get to top 8?
I think we should do a pick when we get to top 8.
Okay, we're gonna do. I'm gonna lock you in with your second picks, which is Canada, UK, and Germany, and then when we get to top 8, we'll make picks again. Right. So that's where we're at right now for you. You've got 2 out of your 3. That's doing good. All right, Vapix, for you, Australia was your number 1. Which,
I mean, can you blame them? With no relation to the team itself, you made that guess.
There's no nepotism there. That was a solid choice. Team Asia was your number 2. And then I think you actually waffled on 3, and then you changed everything. You're like, look, just Team Australia and everybody else can go fuck themselves. But I put down, because I think you briefly settled on the Nordics for your third choice. So all 3 of those are looking pretty good into making top cut.
If anybody watches my streams, you know that I can predict the future all the time. So this is status quo.
There you go. And for myself, my initial picks, before teams were decided, I had Australia, UK, and Russia. And then following the team decisions, when we all got together, I made my picks was Australia, Germany, and the Nordics. So I've got 3 out of 3 as well. So I'm kind of curious to see. I think our top picks are so far pretty solid. And then when we get to top 8, we'll really have to make some pools, make some friendly wagers to see who's going to make it into the top 3.
Absolutely. They changed the pricing for this one versus last World Cup. So there is the Blood Games card back, which is the pricing.
Right.
There is the gold, the silver, and the bronze version, just like with the top 50 card backs. In last year's World Cup, first to third got the gold. Everyone in elimination got the silver, and then everyone who played in the World Cup got the bronze. Mm-hmm. Now they've changed it where it's only first gets gold, second gets silver, third and fourth get bronze.
Wow.
That's lame.
So so the rest of the participants don't get anything?
Yep.
Oh, wow, that is lame.
Yeah, that's weird.
To be honest, I agree with it. I would like to see a consolation prize of 1,000 gold to every player that made it to the elimination bracket.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, for some teams there was no real infighting, but for a good bit of teams, they had to fight amongst their country in order to even get there. That's a tournament.
Tournament to get to the qualifiers, to get your team set up, and then to play in the tournament, not to make it to the top cut, or even to make it to the top cut, but not make it to the top 3. Oof. Yeah. And get nothing for it, except for, I guess, camaraderie and to get away with the flag. But still, that's a little frustrating. Yeah, I agree. I think some sort of consolation prize should be in order. That's upsetting to hear that.
Yeah. And, 1,000 gold doesn't really cost every good anything. They just got to award it to the players. Takes a bit of time. You might get a legendary out of it. Whatever works.
Yeah. Something.
And I'm pretty sure the card back is identical to last year too.
Yes, yeah. The blood, it's still the same Blood Games card back, so it's not like Blood Games Season 2 or Season 3. Like, they've just are making a little bit more use of that card back. So a few more people who don't have it will have it, and which is fine, because it is. I think you'd have to do the math, but I think it's probably currently a little above what a standard like a War Master cardback or season cardback would be, because there would have been more than 50 players in the first World Cup.
Yeah, I think so too.
And then you add a few more players with this season, so it slowly gets out there, but it's still very elite.
My thing about it though is that when a Team Australia wins, what are they going to do for Fulgrim and I? Because we both already have it.
Do you guys have the... Oh, because you've already got the gold. Yeah.
We topped 3 last year, so...
Will they let you choose to get the silver just to have it, or...
To be honest, I prefer to give it to 4th place, or second place, give them the gold or whatever. Obviously I don't need the 2 of it, but it's... Yeah, I hope we can, so we'll have to see how things go. And we'll see when we get closer, who knows, who knows what's going to happen, but right. When we win, we'll have to make a decision.
That's not necessarily a bold statement. You guys are in a good position to make it. Now, every tournament has got the possibility of teams that do really well through the tournament, the qualifier part, and then they get to top cut, and then they bottom out. So, we could see some upsets in that first round of top cut.
It's Legions. The game is 50% deck, 25% skill, 25% luck. You could just get balled in the first round and be like, oh, I guess I lose.
That's it. We came this far. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So as much as I know that we're going to win, because we're Team Australia and we're the best.
Of course. I would agree, but my Canuck boys are in there, so...
That's fair,
you have to understand.
My goal in all these sorts of things is just to make elimination. If I make elimination, I can go home happy.
I do have to lament. I mean, I'm kind of proud, but I do feel a little bad that I didn't pick Team USA because I wasn't sure about their team, and they've done very well. So I mean, I know they're not on here, but I'm at least proud to see that they're doing well.
That's good. That's absolutely great.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, do we have anything more to cover on World Cup?
I don't really think so. Like the rounds are progressing. We've got the next rounds coming up. I'm keen to get into them more. Like I've been really, really enjoying it. So I hate this bye because I've had this entire time of not playing.
So you guys are off this week, right?
Yeah. So we're off last week and we're into this week.
Oh, okay.
But my opponent still hadn't done their last rounds. So I'm pretty sure he's going to get a default win because his opponent isn't really showing up right now. And then he's got some exams to do. So he's like, do we mind if we do the games after my exams? I'm like, no way I'm going to force you to do them before your real life exams.
Right. So, like, no, you do them instead of studying for your real life stuff. We've got life and death.
Yeah, we got our exams set up. Our game set up for Wednesday evening, my time. So hopefully we'll be able to hit that and I'll be able to win. But Khan versus Sigismund will be a struggle.
That is, well, I'll tell you what, like it sounds like it's a struggle. Even on the Sigismund side, though, it's not. Like if you get good draws, if you get your frontline stuff to boot, and you're throwing up your ability, that's great. It helps. But he can still ping and whittle your health down before you have options to do things. So I mean, just hope that it goes well in your favor. I found that the games you think that his ability will make the difference doesn't really. I mean, like it's not as effective as you would think. It's good. It's not a bad ability. It certainly keeps the pacing even, but it just makes that game even shorter.
To be honest, he's a weak pick. Like, if you were going to pick someone to counter the likes of Khan and Angrong, why didn't you pick Nemator? Because his ability is literally just straight better.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I mean, like, you could argue for the card pool, but it's not like the Salamanders have an awful card pool. Not like, amazing, but, like, I love Fire Drakes. I love a lot of their 5 and 4 drops. Like, Salamanders are really balanced towards early drops, so I've seen some mean Emperor Wrath Salamanders.
Absolutely. And I think it's also because of the card that Sigismund gets, so you can like OTK or like get a lot of damage in the late game.
Right. That and normally like that's a good closer for him, just being able to burst that out. He doesn't have that window, or the window is shorter for him to be able to use that in an aggro game. Dars and Karns keep that window short.
Absolutely. So we'll have to see how it goes. Like, I'm going to tech towards it, but I'm not going to go full tech because I've got to test the matchup. I really don't know if I need to change that much.
And if you're not careful and you go too hard into the tech, you're just going to doom yourself when you play off of it.
Yep.
That's exactly right.
On the plus side, you'll be able to see the custom interaction between those two characters.
Yeah, they do have one, don't they?
Yeah, which is it's a good one. It's a good one.
Mm-hmm. And sitting in the code is a lot of interactions we got to wait on.
Yes. Oh,
I've
yes.
heard
the code
that the Emperor is coming in.
Okay, so for that, I've been debating that with people. The devs have said a couple times they want to see it happen, and it's likely to happen. But with everything in this game, Games Workshop has to give it the A-OK. So there's a chance we may see him.
I mean, that would just make him a raid boss, wouldn't they?
Yes, I feel like if the Emperor isn't a raid boss...
They said if he comes, he'll be collectible.
Yeah.
Oh,
like,
okay.
They have hard said that if he gets added, he will be collectible.
They'll have to have him sitting on the throne or something.
Oh, man.
We'll see. It will be a good question. I mean, I've heard the good argument. Horus Whispers is not an insta-win. So the Emperor shouldn't be either. So I think they can just add him in. But at the same time, we'll see. I'm excited, though, because also sitting in the code right now is Reckoning for
Luther.
Luther.
Yes.
It's sitting there. It's called the Arch Betrayer.
Arch Betrayer. Yeah, there was recently, we're talking for those who don't know, a couple days ago, we had some data mining take place, and some people shared some interesting things that they found in the code, which would include a lot of custom emotes between warlords, existing warlords, and the Emperor. as an interaction, which some of those have been around for a while, but there were some newer ones.
Yeah.
There was also some extra descriptions for warlords, for like if you're in the gallery in game or you're going to a deck to create a deck, like you could actually see, you get a little bit extra, little brief description next to the warlord, and some of those are for like event warlords. So there's that was added. There was a couple of very vague worded sentences or terms that seem to allude to a possible, I hate to say this stuff because this has been going on for 2 years, but a possible game mode or alternate game mode, something that involves entry or registering. And then there was, I think the term was arena, although we're not sure if that was supposed to be for event or not, or if that's the name for the mode.
The thing is, Draken Lords uses that exact name for its arena. It's the event game mode,
yeah.
So we don't know.
Yeah, so that's really kind of speculation. And then there was also, I think there was kind of description for the TO card backs, which are going to be new and coming out. The tournament organizers are getting a card back as well as the mod from Discord, so that's cool. So some very interesting things, to look forward to, or at least that are in the game code that may or may not make their way into the actual game. We have yet to see, but that's some of it's rumors and speculation, and some of it might come to fruition.
Yeah.
And I mean, typically the data mining has been relatively productive or helpful through the course of its people doing it.
But the data mining's interesting because it's all just throwaway stuff the devs put in the game to see if it's ever going to come in. The amount of content in any game, Yeah.
Well, like when they get the alt art images, typically those are able to be identified, located, pulled up fairly quickly, or new card backs that kind of might hint like, hey, like I think the like a month or two before there was the alt art Fulgrim, like they had the card back for the Phoenician, so we knew it was going to come. We just didn't know what it was going to look like and when it was going to be, but it was there.
That's fair enough. I'm glad they put the alt art for Jagger Khan in now. It looks pretty good.
Yes. Yeah, let's talk about that. Because
the Altar Khan looks very nice.
Yeah, Axel and I was talking just briefly because I had not had Jagatai. So today I was eagerly awaiting my chance to get Jagatai because he was the one card I needed outside of I think a couple from the new expansion. So I now finally have Jagatai, and I'm also glad to see that his alt art looks good. Like, it's not like, oh man, this is fantastic, but it certainly isn't a Ferrus Manus either. I think it's a solid alt art. I had a couple of guys who were really excited about it, so it's good to see. And I've heard his voice is different.
Oh, okay, I haven't looked at his voice lines yet, so...
Neither have I. I might need to do that right now, actually, while we're talking. Because I own it, because I really love the art.
Yeah.
And I never even checked its voice lines, because I was just like, that art sold me alone.
My favorite thing that happens when they bring the alt arts in is that they put the Warlord in the shop.
Yes.
Yeah,
so get more people out there with those cards.
So if you don't have gems, you can still splurge for cash, or if you want to collect, the card back and the alt art, you can still go for cash. But if you don't, you can still get the Warlord, which is very nice.
My annoying thing with buying them, it's like the deck you get, it costs you it's like $30 Australian or something like that, right? So whatever it is everywhere else. But the only card you're likely to get out of that deck is the alt art for the Warlord. It's like every other card in there is green.
Right. I think there might be one epic typically, but that's it. Like, you're not going to get anything beyond that. Yeah.
Which seems really... Yeah,
you're basically paying for the card back and the alt art is really what it comes down to. Like that with those decks, when it comes to a Primarch deck, like I've never seen one where that's a great buy. Like if it's like an epic Warlord, like when they've done like Latara or the Night Houses or whatever, like you'll get a legendary. It may not be a great legendary, but you'll get a legendary in the deck. It might be Jubok. I think it was like the Archmagos when it was the Knights deck. It's like, all right, that's not a bad one to pay money for. I mean, the Warlord is something that you can collect or get through the course of the game, but they also sell those typically cheaper than Primarch decks.
Yeah, absolutely. So I lied. They're not $30 Australian. They're $20 Australian.
Yeah.
But still, like I'm just looking at the deck now. Every card is common or uncommon, so like white or green, except for 3 cards, which are the rare, so the oranges.
Okay.
It's
Now, the actual rarity is it goes common, rare, epic, legendary. So
It
that
does,
means you're
doesn't
getting
it?
3 epics and a bunch of rares and commons.
yeah. but
Every
rares aren't really
game
that
calls.
rare.
Yeah, no. Every game calls them something different, so everyone's excused for getting this wrong. Now, I muted myself
absolutely.
because I was listening to the cons. The cons are the same. The 2 arts, like their voices,
Are they the
but
same
their lines
voices?
are different.
The lines,
Yeah.
okay, all right. I heard that the voices.
The lines-
I haven't listened to them. So
The 2, I might be wrong, but the voices are the same. The lines are a lot better, though. And I heard, this might already have come to fruition for those listening, the devs were contacted about saying alternate arts voice lines. Their audio volume is being raised.
okay, because they're very
For those
quiet.
who don't own,
Yes.
yes, those who don't own the alt art, he sounds like he's trying to seductively whisper to you, and I don't like it. They're changing that because the devs even realize that they shouldn't be like that.
Needs to be a little
That's
louder,
funny.
please.
No.
I don't need.
Man,
the
so I
same
wonder how long it is now before they release the 5th Warlord. Well, there'll be the 4th Warlords for the new factions, and then the 5th Warlords for the rest of the factions.
Right, and I don't know if they're just going to release those through events or if we're going to get I think based off of the Q&A that they had a while back, their intention would be to have an expansion, which would include 5th Warlords for, probably like 4 or 5 factions. I don't know how
They'd probably do it by the crates, wouldn't they?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a couple ways they could do it. I'd like to see them do one expansion that has like take 6 factions and each of those factions gets a 5th Warlord and 6 additional cards to them, or something like that. So
Additional cards would be good.
Yeah, I feel like they got to have like something new to like either expand on a facet that really wasn't developed well, add a new facet that, especially with the things that have been added to the game through the course of time, or enhance the new warlords. So there's a lot of reasons to do that. But I think if they did it that way, and then maybe like just a trickle of new neutrals, that really keep the focus on the updating the factions that are included in that crate, that would be good. And if they did it that way, you could probably get like 3 to 4 more expansions, unless you kept it small. If you were like, instead of 6 factions, you made it 10, but there's smaller card amounts, then you would burn through that pretty quickly. I don't know.
I mean, they seem to like they want to support the game going forward a lot more because they have released a bunch of new trailers recently.
Yes, and that was one thing I want to talk about with between the trailers, the ads, the faction focus videos. I've seen since the announcement of this expansion, the Terra expansion, I have seen a lot more. And when I say a lot more, I mean like it used to be 0, and now I'm seeing them daily. Ads for this game on Facebook, and which is great. I think that's great. I'm like always wonder like what took them so long to do it. I think part of it was there was some discussion. I think it really is tied to the Everguild being acquired by there's a gaming group organization that owns multiple small independent developers, and they got absorbed into that. So I think maybe part of it is that either they're being told that, hey, you got to advertise your game, or B, they're getting a boost as a result of that, being like, hey, your game is doing good, let's help you succeed because these are avenues that you haven't been able to pursue, and we're going to help you do that.
They've got a bit more money behind them so they can afford to do these sorts of things.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was going to say that will just help significantly because most people I know just found this game by accident. They need more advertisement.
That's exactly right. But all of the all of the trailers are around the Siege of Terra.
Yes.
And I think that's in correlation with the books, because I'm not sure where the books are releasing, but they're around the Siege of Terra right now.
We are during the Siege of Terra.
Yeah, they're during the Siege of Terra for sure. That is the moment. And I mean, really,
the newest book is Mortarion and Siege.
And I think really when you think about it, though, I mean, if you are a 40K player, The Horus Heresy is a broad scope of time, but really when it comes down to it, the Horus Heresy is that final moment, is that siege of Terra, Horus and the Emperor staring down. Like, I mean, before these books were created, before there was 50 plus books written, the Horus Heresy, none of that stuff existed. We didn't know anything about Istvan 5 other than that's where some legions got decimated. We didn't have any details.
No, we had one lore piece for that place, and it annoys me all the time. A Space Marine chapter captured it with robots, and that's the only other lore we know about it in the 40k.
Yeah, there was so little. Like, there was like, what this is what their armor looked like during the heresy or before the heresy. This is what it looked like after. Like, that one might be it. So it really came down to, I mean, like, if you're a long-time player, you just know that, Horus Heresy, that's Terra and the Imperial Palace and, the Emperor and Sanguinius dies and, those key moments. So it makes sense kind of looping into that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So just to segue a tiny bit here, still staying within the Siege of Terra, there is this YouTuber, really large YouTuber called Major Kill. I'm sure a lot of people have heard about him. He does a lot of 40k Lord videos.
Yeah. He was one of those tubers that always get either you hate him or you love him. I found his videos entertaining.
That's fair enough, yeah. Anyways, he was talking about the Siege of Terra, and he was talking about Horus versus the Emperor, and he was talking about this headcanon that he came up with that I would love to see brought into actual canon. I don't care how souped up Horus was. I doubt after battling through all that, he's going to be able to take out the Emperor, right? And that's the whole thing is, the Emperor kills him. So Horus, first off, fights Sanguinius, who can solo, giant demons, right? And cool, yeah, maybe he could beat him. Yeah, exactly. Maybe he could beat him, maybe he couldn't. But do you really think after versing someone on more or less equal skill in combat, even though he's buffed by all the Chaos Gods, then fight the Emperor and still be able to mortally win the Emperor? Maybe, maybe not. The headcanon this guy uses is Horus fights Sanguinius. In that fight, in order to win, Sanguinius falls to the Black Rage. Sanguinius kills Horus. The Emperor shows up in those moments when Sanguinius is killing Horus. The Emperor was ready to kill Horus, his son. He was not ready to kill Sanguinius. Sanguinius attacks him in the Black Rage, mortally wounding him. The Emperor kills Sanguinius. Then they spin the tale to make it look like Horus did it all so they don't lose the Blood Angels.
Damn.
And I was like, my God, is that just not better?
Well, yeah, that's actually, it's funny because it's not the idea I had, but like when the Horus Heresy came out, the first series of books, and they started, like, some of the bits of lore that you thought you knew, they were spinning on their head, like the Alpha Legion actually being loyal to the Emperor when they, sided with Horus and like those little tiny things. Like, my question was always going to be like, I wonder what they'll do with the Black Rage. My thought on it was, what if Sanguinius was going to, he ends up like getting talked into it or makes a decision to join Horus, and Horus like totally like gut kills him, like as a betrayal, because that way the Black Rage still happens, but then it puts it on a different twist where all those Blood Angels who go mad are not just mad because they have the rage, but they're mad because like their whole life is a lie, right?
They've got the vision of Sanguinius saying, okay, I'll join you, Horus, and that's what sends them crazy.
Right. Like, either which way, I think when we get that scene, I think we kind of had a similar kind of talk when we were talking about the Dark Angels. Like, it's been built up, part of that lore has been built up so big that it's not going to satisfy anybody when they finally write it down effectively.
Oh, not at all.
Like, even if they just go straight forward, like, look, yeah, they fight and it's an epic fight and this is great, but at the end Horus kills him, like, you knew it's going to come, there's no way we can do it justice, or they turn it on its head, and half the people who read it just get pissed off because it's like, there's no way, like the way the books read currently from Ruinstorm on, like, Sanguinius has got a very clear vision as far as he knows what's going to happen. He's okay with it, and at the same time he is going to do his damnedest to try to stop it, and that's about all that we've got. There's no, like, he's seen it and he's very quiet or close-lipped about it. Like, I mean, the stories have gotten pretty close to his thoughts on the matter, so it's harder for them at this point to turn it and spin it on his head, but they could still do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty keen to get there. So I'm currently reading all the books. I'm up to Mechanicus, so it's like the 8th one in the series or something like that. So it's a long way to go.
That's a good book.
All of the Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I've actually really enjoyed every single book but one, and that was the Flight of the Abyss
Battle
or
for
whatever.
the Abyss. Yes, thank you.
That one.
Everyone hates that.
Virtual High
Really?
Five.
Okay.
That is my least favorite book in the entire series.
My problem with it is I get it. Word bearers are stormtroopers. But man, don't have that.
It's so bad.
Man, okay. It wasn't even that for me.
No.
It's that I literally did not care about any of the characters.
No, it's
Yeah.
You know what it was for me? The Battle for the Abyss. First off, it's written by Ben Counter. Fuck that guy. But
Okay.
he's, in my opinion, he's like he's just not a great author. He's not on C.S. Goddard level, but he's close. No, for me, the entire book is like it's like a D&D story where every Marine, every Astartes is a trope of their legion. They're basically they all meet at a tavern. They literally meet at a tavern, and like the paladin, who is the the ultramarine, meets up with a barbarian who happens to be the space wolf, and then they meet a wizard who's and they're like, we're going on a quest. We have a mission, and it's just not great. It's really not great. Like the best part of that whole book is, I don't know. You read the whole thing, yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The best part for me in that whole book was when the World Eater gets on the ship and like is hiding on the ship for like weeks, like killing people because they can't find him.
Yeah.
That's it. Like the rest of the book was just terrible, and the stakes were basically at the end of it didn't matter. Like, this is a planet killer ship, but there's a whole fleet of planet killer ships. We stopped it, but it doesn't matter. Like, nothing, the stakes in that book don't matter. The characters in that book don't matter. The plot device used to hook them together is so flimsy. It just felt like an insult compared to the 3 or 4 books that came before it.
I agree with that. Like, the ship was built up to be this, we've made this ship specifically to do this job. But it's like, why? There was no real reason. Sure, it had that big cannon, but it's like, I'm sure other ships have big cannons that are supposed to not be made and all that kind of stuff. It's like...
The word bearer ships, though, those ones were like phalanx tier, and they had 3 of them.
They were
so the fact that a squad of dudes were able to take out one of them, it's like Death Star cranked up to 1,000.
Yeah. And then essentially, like, guess what? Like, Calth still happens pretty effectively. Like, when you read No Fear, which is the Battle of Calth, like, there's a big part of it was like,
an amazing book, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm not even a big fan of the Ultramarines. That's a great book.
That's a fantastic book. When you get to that, that's really good. But, like, if there was a section where they're like, man, we really could have used that other ship. Like, no, you'll never see that. It has no note whatsoever.
It's especially nice when you remember that the word bearers went in that war wanting to lose.
Yeah, okay. My favorite character in that book was the ship commander of the ship they commandeered. Can't even remember her name.
Same.
But she was just like this cool character because she was so pissed off. She was like, I'm going to do this for you because my ship was about to be basically torn apart for scrap metal, and I'm going to do this because it's my duty, but I'm going to be pissed off about it.
Right. She was a rogue trader, correct?
I think so. I believe so. And
yeah.
the Space Marines were just like, we need your ship to do this thing. And she's like, I mean, I'm going to do it, but I'm not going to like it, and you're going to know about it. And it's just these 8-foot-tall Space Marines that are mentally insane being like, I mean, thanks, I guess.
Yeah.
But the rest of the book, I was just like,
Yeah.
It's not great.
Like, but I'm glad that's the general consensus.
Yes, it is. And I've
definitely.
not yet
No one will
talked to
agree.
somebody who's like, oh man, Battle for the Abyss is the best. It's
the only time I heard anyone who say it's good are the Ultramarine players messing with me because they like word bearers. And that's the only time. Man, I hate how my boys have been done like stormtroopers.
Yeah.
That's fair. The more I read,
no one has to do it.
I was always actually tricked into liking the book for the Thousand Suns character, because the more I read the Horus Heresy books, the more and more interested I'm getting into the Thousand Suns. I'm keen to read all the Magnus stuff, all the Armament stuff, and I'm keen. I think once I'm finished the 50-plus books of the Horus Heresy, because I'm doing it. I'm reading every single one in release order. I'm going to do it. And I've committed to it. I don't care how bad the books are. I'm going to do it. Then, as soon as I get into 40k, I think I'm going to go Thousand Suns. I'm going to read all those sorts of things because I'm getting really interested in them.
Nice. And there are some bad books for the Heresy. Don't get me wrong. But
I've heard that. Like a lot of the Kurz ones and stuff like that.
I would probably say like the ones that just are either they don't contribute anything to the actual development, ongoing, narrative, and the ones where they're just kind of like, I don't know, like they're just too tropey, where it's like, okay, this feels like a, like the high schooler wrote this book. Like I expected more, but they're not the majority. Like the majority of the books are pretty solid, which is good. So, I mean, that shouldn't make you reading them like, like suffer terribly. 40K books, on the other hand, that's harder. So, like, if you at least have an idea what you want to pick, and that's for me, like, I've said it before, like, one of the things I always enjoyed about 40K was there was not like for the longest time, that it's changed since, but for the longest time, there was no, like, clear-cut canon, timeline. Like, you have to read these books in order. You just pick what books you want. Like, I want to read about this faction, and I'm going to read these 3 books. I'm going to read about the Blood Angels or the Space Wolves or, the Imperial Guard, and I want to read these books. And there was a book for you to read, and most of the time they were enjoyable if that's what you want to read about. Some of the time they were disappointing, but so I think that's cool.
Most of the books are just kind of leading up to the 13th Black Crusade, aren't they, though? That's just kind of in its misc of time.
Not really. That's
not anymore.
Yeah, that
was what was happening. It was all like, it was like that event that everyone knows what's going to happen, like in the Horus Heresy books. The Emperor will die, but we're just getting everything in before that, except for 40K with Ad Nauseam. 13th Black Crusade happened, and my boys technically won. We did it. We had to drop an entire fucking space station down on y'all, but we won.
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't realize they'd actually written it yet.
And a lot of the
we are like,
they're past it. Yeah,
that was like the end of 8th edition.
A lot of the 40K books, though, for the most part, like, don't acknowledge any of it. Like, because really what it comes down to is everybody's in their own war. They have no idea, and most of them wouldn't even care what's happening all the way across the galaxy or back on the Terra, because they're fighting for their lives in this far-flung sector planet. So the term "there is only war," I mean, is on such a level, like, really, who cares what's happening elsewhere? Like, your whole point is like the Sabbat Crusades, the entire course of the Gaunt Ghost books and Double Eagle, and even a couple of the other Dan Abnett novels are really all about the Sabbat Crusades. There's a timeline, like they're marked for, like, this is when this took place, but it's only relevant to that sector or that space area. Nobody else knows or cares what's going on elsewhere.
I suppose they have to do that, though, because they can never end 40K. It's just going to be perpetual. Like, no one's going to win, no one's going to lose.
We might get an end times, because at this rate, Primarchs are waking up fast. Like, the Chaos ones are all coming back en masse, and, like, Loyalist ones are being hinted at of being alive. We may get it.
That's exactly right. I mean, like, the Yellow King just was revealed, spoiler alert, to be Valdor, right? So that's the whole thing. It's
spoiler ended for, in case Scuff wants to put something there.
Yeah. I know that Alfarius or Omegon, depending on how you want to say it, was killed by Dawn in the Siege of Terra, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But the other one's still alive, correct?
The other one is leading the Legion.
But who knows if it's Alfarius or Omegon, right?
Right.
We don't know. There's actually no way of knowing.
Yeah, they could say, this is Alfarius. Alfarius died, but it's like, well, you can say that as much as you want. Your Legion could be lying. Like, it doesn't. So whoever's alive is alive, and I'm keen for that, because the theories that I've seen online with them is that Alfarius grew up on Terra and Omegon got shunted, and then they met up and like, we're cool.
I don't know if you know the theories, but the Primarch book is out that fully explains their backstory.
Okay, all right. Well, I must have seen bits and pieces of that thing, because
I don't want to spoil it, especially on the podcast. But if you want to know, I can tell you what happens.
That's all right. I'll get to the book eventually.
Okay, it's a very good one.
Okay, I'm keen for it. Actually, the Alpha Legions books, the one that I've read, was very good.
Legion?
That was Legion.
Was fantastic, yes. Yeah, that was a fantastic book. That was a prime example of those stories that took what you thought you knew and put it on its head. Now, granted, I mean, years later, now everybody knows and they talk about it or whatever, but like when that book came out, nobody knew,
That's exactly right.
Mechanicum, you're reading that, and it's for me, when I read it, like there's a parts there at the end, like if you read the lines, and I read some other short stories, and I wish I knew the name of the story that I read it, but like there's moments in that book that tie to stories that took place in the 41st millennium, and there's also a couple of key moments that I think that novel was trying to say. I don't know how far you're in, I don't want to ruin it, but the project that one of the characters is working on through the course of the book.
Is that Seth and the other chick?
Yes.
Thing to make you end? Yeah. So I'm most of the way through the book.
They're working on the Golden Throne, and but so this is during the course of the Mars Revolt. They're working on the Golden Throne. The Golden Throne already exists. What they're working on was a way to make the Golden Throne better, and there's a part in there where she can see what the problem is, and she can fix it. She never gets to. So had it been done, had she succeeded, had the Golden Throne been improved, what implications would that have caused? Like, it was basically like, we can make it so that we don't have to constantly sacrifice psychic energy to keep this thing going. Like, it could just run perpetually.
Okay, that's pretty cool. That makes sense.
Yeah, that's the way I read it. Now, I could be wrong, but when I came away from reading that book, I was like, that for me, it wasn't a huge spinner. It's like, but at the same time, there was that tragic. I was like, man, if they could have gotten it done, like what, like, because then the Emperor wouldn't have to be sitting on the throne. He could have been fighting, or he could have used the throne to do X, like keep the Astronomicon open. I mean, it just makes you think. It's like, oh man, what a loss. So yeah, I like that book. It was written well, but that was, for me, that was a good point, or that's what I saw in that.
That's fair enough. One of the reasons why I think I'm enjoying these books a lot is because my major link to these is this game, is the Horus Heresy Legion. So when I hear characters' names, I'm like, I've got a visual representation of what that character looks like, and I'm going to stick with that so I don't forget about them. Because that's one of the reasons I don't think I liked Battle for the Abyss. They were saying these characters' names and these people, and I was like, I don't know who any of you are.
They were in an event, at least a good chunk of them.
Yeah, there was an event.
And one of them is the coolest character ever, and his ability is amazing. Add him as a 5th Ultramarine Warlord, please. I beg you.
That's fair enough. But yeah, so I was just like, okay, and I'm keen to see what happens, because there's Zeph, there's Crom, there's the Kabar Machine, there is Kelbor Ha, there is Melgator. Like, I've got a totally new outlook on who Melgator is now.
Yeah.
Like, what an asshole.
I think Ramirez is mentioned in there as well.
Yep. She's in there as well. I was like, hell yeah. So it's all these characters. I'm just like, okay, I see.
Yeah.
It feels good to be able to do that.
Yeah, I still am doing that when I come across like named Astartes. I'm in book, I don't know what number it is, like 49, 52 or something, like Wolfsbane, which is way late in the series. It's the same thing, and every time they add new cards to the game, it's like, oh, that's right, that character finally made a card. I'm looking at it the other way around, but it still is nice to see, because then you've got a good idea, and then maybe through the course of it, you're like, yeah, that ability makes sense. Like, it's not just a power, like, that they slapped on a card.
I think also from a reader's sense, you can get lost in books a lot of the times. For example, when I initially read the Game of Thrones books, I hadn't actually watched the series. Like, I was reading the first one, and I got lost so many times because the book jumps around a lot. There's all these different characters.
Right.
But then I watched the series, and yeah, that jumps around. But then I went back and read the first book again. I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. I'm following this character, and I'm following that place, and I'm doing this. I think the same thing's happening with me with the Horus Heresy. Is they say all these names and all these people across all these different places, and it's making more sense to me because I've already got this prior knowledge, as little that it is, to link it in.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels good that way.
Yeah, the dramatis persona that they have at the start of the books is a good help, at least so if you ever want to go back, but sometimes they list like 30 names, and like half of those names you only see like once or twice. So it's not like they're going to be people that you want to stick and follow with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly right. And like, Adovacor he's obviously in this game, he's the 4-drop from Emperor's Children, the 3/5 Perfection Gain Frontline, right? Mm-hmm. He is mentioned in one line of the book.
Oh yeah, some characters are barely mentioned in that card.
Yeah, he is like, Sol is like, oh, there's the dead Adovacor. I guess I'll have to do his job later, and that's it, basically. And he's the reason Sol does something else to link in with him discovering bullshit. But I was like, okay, I'm glad he got a card.
Right.
There's some cards like that, and then there's some cards where they said, screw it, we're going to put the same character in twice, but name them differently, and I laugh at those.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm just looking at the Horus Heresy Legion's YouTube and their first cinematic trailer from 3 years ago with 1 million views. Guess who the poster boy is?
What?
Cerberus.
That's awesome.
So, Terra Loken, which has just been released into the game.
That's great.
It's the same art too.
Not even as a warlord, but as a troop for a different faction
Yep.
altogether. Yeah.
Very interesting. But look. So I was also looking at their video. So they've got 9 videos on their page. 4 of them are from 2 years plus ago. So they have their initial trailer, the gameplay trailer. Then there's another trailer. Then there's the Alpha Legion reveal, and then there's a PC trailer. Right? They're all from 2+ years ago, and they've all got a bunch of the lowest one has. That one's got 3,000 views, but the rest of them have 120, 160, 260, and 1 million views, right? And if you look at all the ones now, it's oh, look, I guess I'll have 1,000 views and 7,000 views and 2,000 views, and that feels bad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and you kind of wonder, what's the time trend on some of those? Did those first videos get the same amount in the same period of time? Or was that over the course, people just checking it out? Or, has it actually gone down or has it gone up? Maybe they trickled in a couple thousand and now we're higher, but it feels different. Yeah, I don't think we are.
Yeah. I am glad that they're supporting this game more because a lot of the trailers, so they've got the Siege of Terra expansion, then they've got the Ages of Sigilite, they've got the Skulls event, then they've got the Imperial Fist and Sisters of a Silent faction trailers. And the last one they've got is a new PC trailer, which I thought was weird. It's not like the game is re-releasing on PC. There's no big overhaul. It's just another trailer for the PC one.
Right. Well, it's interesting, too, because it's not just this game, but there's 3 or 4 other 40K games that are getting trailers popping up everywhere.
Okay.
Gladius, was it Lost Crusade? Some of these games are a little bit newer, but most of them have been they're either reskins of other existing games. I mean, they're not great games, but it's a weird GW digital game push to get advertising out. And I mean, granted, I think the advertising for those games is a lot better. It's custom, custom cinematics. I don't think we have a custom cinematic here. We've got some great voice lines and some good bending of existing art, I guess is the best way I would put it.
I know what you mean.
It's not on that same level, but I feel like there's something to it that's really causing this to be a focus, and I'm glad for it because it's good to get the game out there.
So GW has done this thing recently where they have bought up all the third-party people that are Astartes. They bought Astartes.
Right. Yep.
Right, and they've been buying out a lot of the other people that have been making animations and stuff like that, which sounds really good. They're supporting them, but they're taking them off YouTube. Astartes is not on YouTube anymore. It's gone.
Yeah.
It's on their own website for all these sorts of things. And it's why are you taking that away?
I heard that they are planning on a GW or Games Workshop channel, an actual, not a YouTube channel, an actual, subscription service, like Disney Plus, which...
Well, that would be cool, actually.
That's what some people said, and I guess when you subscribe, you get, you would get a miniature, a model. I don't know what it would be, but it would be something to go with that. That in some degree, that sounds cool because, oh man, we could have... the shows that were planned for Netflix, Angels of Darkness, Hammer and Bolter, would be on the subscription service. You would get videos for painting and whatever. I feel as cool as that is, I have some major concerns about it because the sustainability is kind of a problematic, and then how much of that is going to be good content. For 1 month you get the show that you want to see, and then you just get a bunch of buy this product, hype this, because really their goal is to sell paints and models. And
biggest thing about that is anyone who's going to subscribe to something like that is already in the hobby in some respect.
Right.
You're not searching this out as a new player. How many people did Astartes bring into the hobby? How many people what is this? This is fucking cool.
Right.
Let me look into that more.
Right. Instead,
I know Astartes was number 10 on trend on YouTube.
It was
so
amazing, and it was people could look at wow, this is actually really cool. It's this is take a look at these, and then you get them hooked into other things. Hell's Reach, which was way early on, but people
I loved Hell's
get
Reach.
into it's like, now read the book, or hey, take a look at these characters that there's the fan made content is so cool for so many reasons, but because it was out there on YouTube, it was viewable by anybody who had a question, or could always be like, what is 40K? Well, you've asked the right question. Let's have.
Well, you've asked the wrong question, because that's going to go on for 3 days. 3 days to 8 hours.
It's that classic meme. It's like me trying to explain, the Horus Heresy to my girlfriend. It's like, okay, so Sanguinius is totally, no.
I like how you start with Sanguinius.
You guys start with Sanguinius and Horus, right? That's real.
No, you got to go even farther back. Well, it started with Ferris. My poor boy.
First off, okay,
my
so
good
the Emperor
boy.
of Mankind is like this most powerful, awesome guy who's not a god.
No, how you really started? So we're in Turkey about 4000 BCE.
Right. That's what you
and
have
then you got to explain.
Yes.
You got to explain the Emperor being made, and then I sat down because a buddy asked me that question unironically. We went at it for like 3 to 4 hours of me just explaining the prelude to the heresy.
Now, before we even get to that, we got to start with ancient Alexandria. Okay, now basically you go through the entire course of mankind's civilization. Let's do that. Yeah,
and nothing is funnier too when you mention the fact that the old throwaway lore is every major person in history was the emperor in disguise. It has never been referenced again, but there was a point where everyone was.
Half of it would be just me explaining like some fight, like, okay, and then there was the Rainbow Warriors, but we don't talk about that, so let's move on to the next thing. What?
And then there was the Warriors, but they had cancer, so we killed them.
Yes, so those guys are
died on a mountain fighting no one. Don't worry about it.
Now the Iron Hands are like this most awesome, badass legion, right? They're led by Ferris Banish. He's the coolest guy. He's going to go there. Die horribly. They all die. All right, let's get clear to that. Let's get to that.
Okay, that the only thing that makes me happy about the Iron Hands is that the way they get brought, or the Ferris Manus getting brought back to 40K would be one of the coolest ways.
That could be cool.
Just make him the Primarch of the Legion of the Damned. Yeah, because he leads them during the heresy. I don't know if I just spoiled something for you, Vapix, but
no, I mean I've seen that. That's with like book 3. Well, no, it's book 5 that happens when his head gets cut off.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well, not when he dies, but I mean like he gets brought back to fight during the Webway.
Oh, does he? That's pretty. That makes sense, actually.
That
I did see that. That is spoiled, but I had heard about that. Actually, you're right.
Yeah, basically, the Emperor revives him as a warped spirit,
revenant, basically, or something.
And he's like flaming, and the demons are like dying just looking at him, and he leads the army to fight them off. If that's what they do for 40K by making him a Primarch of the Legion of the Damned, that would be amazing.
That would be dope.
Because I mean,
because I'm keen to see where Corax goes in 40K.
Yes. Well, right now he's a giant ball of darkness that's chasing Logar.
That's what I'm keen.
The problem with that is Logar is leading the Legion actively right now. So something happened to Corax, or Corax just stopped chasing him.
Okay, that's fair.
So we need to find out what happened there, because the Word Bearers have been reunited by Logar, so the two sides are no longer killing each other. In case you didn't know that, the Word Bearers fight as a Legion. But if you follow Corferon or you follow Erebus, is the rules there.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, you want both of those guys to die, because they both suck!
As a Wordbearer fan, they may be evil, but that's the point.
That's true. That is very true.
I love that.
I remember I've tried. It wasn't Gaff Thorpe. It was one of the other guys, one of the other writers, and they asked him about Erebus. And he's like, why is he such a dick? And he's like, sometimes you just need a bad guy. So like that's just what it
I don't know why
to.
Erebus gets more hate than Corferon. Corferon's an awful
I think
person.
they're both equally hateable, but Erebus has done things a lot more, like in the narrative where it's like, if it wasn't for Erebus, fuck that guy.
I forgot Dorn watches that. Erebus. That is all.
I was going to mention it, but I was like,
at least wants to fight Dorn. You can't say anything, Vapix. I'm pretty sure we still have the Sisters of Battle videos.
Look, and I keep calling Crucial Choice Crucicles. Don't ask me why.
Is that even a word, Crucicle?
Nope.
Oh man.
No, well, it is
a crucible choice. I mean, it is winter in Aussie land.
I was going to say, it sounds like a tasty treat. Is what it sounds like. Would you like a Crucicle?
You're right. That would be pretty good. I should change my stream bits things to Crucicles.
You could. No one can stop you.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I'm keen to see where this game goes. I'm glad that they're supporting it.
Yes, yeah, it's and the fact that they
Three
are.
good
I mean,
Warlords makes me happy.
we may
which
not
is why I
have a-
want. No, what I want. No, I need Corferon to lose the Curse of Thed somehow. Not even. I don't know if you remember Curse of Thet's event, but that guy had a cool ability.
Yeah, Corferon, he was like put a 2-drop in, wasn't he?
No, Curse of Thed. Corferon had the 2E drop. Curse of Thed had the ability where he was like Argel Tall, very similar to Argel Tall. But when you activate his card, you gain every stack of Demon Host in the game and heal 5.
Far out. Oh, I remember that. Yeah, you're right.
That was a cool Warlord. We need more cool things, not just plays for treat.
Like Lord of Flies.
No Lord of Flies.
I'm
Flies.
Okay. Now this is a very important question. Are you Kamba Diaz or Fafnir Ron?
Ooh, yeah.
I don't know. I literally have no idea who either of those characters are.
Depending on your answer, I will report the pirate. The pirate will know.
Look, whatever pirate says is probably pretty correct of what I'm on.
He is. Oh man! I just need you to go onto the main server, type in the words Fafnir Ron and from Pirate Lahi, and you'll see how often he said it. That man will die in order to get Fafnir Ron in the game.
That's fair. It's an Iron Hands dude, right?
Imperial Fist. It's
Imperial Fist, right?
Do you know his ability?
No.
They changed it, Scuff. They lowered its cost.
I thought it was going to be a 1 cost, right?
It's 1E. Discard a card in your hand and gain +2 attack. Can act again.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's actually nuts.
That's right.
The other one is just 2E put in play a sentry turret. But Fafnir Ron.
Oh, give me that. That's...
I know
all the draw cards and go like, oh, look, I've got 20 attack. Bonk.
Better yet, Port Maw will be useful.
Yeah.
There's
anything that generates your cards.
Yeah, there's a few cards that I've got flagged for him. Exactly.
It was 2E when it got leaked, but people have been saying that in the code its cost is reduced to 1E. That can still change, but if that drops like that, holy shit, that's going to be...
I don't even think it's broken. I think it's just strong.
No, I don't. You have to throw away your cards. You could be playing with just 1 card, and then you're gaining... You're hitting for 4 every turn, but you're not playing any cards, so he can build his board.
Yeah.
I think this will be... I don't think it's going to shake the meta up, but it's going to be really cool.
It'll be like a Falcon deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be like Exodia. It's going to be niche. It's going to be interesting. I can't wait for it. I'm excited.
Absolutely.
Well, I think...
that's why everyone's saying go Kamba Diaz is wrong.
I think we're going to see that next event. I mean...
We stand for Fafnir Ron.
I thought this event was going to be the 4th Warlord, but I guess next event's going to be 4th Warlord from Imperial Fist, and I think that's what we're going to be fighting for. So, get ready for it.
Get ready for it.
Let's see.
And then we got 2 Sisters of Silence. I remember we seen one. The other was in the code as a name, but no ability.
The one that we've seen is the one who gives sentenced to a troop. And
cool.
And isn't it like if a troop was sentenced or dies, she draws a card or something like that?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
And her sentence never goes away.
Right, it's a permanent throw on, which is cool. So
when she put that on my Dark Murder and I realized it didn't go away, I got really sad.
All right.
And then Agents of Sigilate, we got Severin and what's the other one's name? I remember. Oh yeah, Cruz. I act in Cruz.
I would rather see. I mean, granted, I like Severian, but I'm not thrilled with his ability.
I'm not keen of his ability.
His ability is
I don't like it when factions just make the ability a card they have.
Yeah. I mean, 1 energy to cycle 1 card. Like, give him something.
Even if it was 0 energy, it would be a lot better. Cycle a card for 0 energy, that would actually be usable. Yeah. In his current state, it's not even worth it, because why not just run Iota or Malkador?
Right, or just draw a card. Yeah. Just draw a card. Why cycle? Why do you have to cycle if it's not going to gain him anything? Mm-hmm. I act in Cruz, I like. I've always liked the character. I think if they kept him the same, I would be surprised, but at the same time...
he's different in the code.
Oh, okay. So he's got a different ability. Okay.
Yeah, we don't know what it is. It's just he's tagged different as the event one.
All right.
So they could copy-paste it, but it's unlikely at the current moment, because they would have just used it twice. EG is very big on shortcuts, so if we find ways where they didn't, that's when we know something new is coming. That's why we can't have Crucible of pre-existing warlords, because of that shortcut.
Right.
I don't know if you ever heard of that, Vapix, but the reason why we can't get Crucible of like warlords actively in the game or in an event is because they only have enough room for one of each warlord.
Oh, okay.
So if you have 2 chaos spawns, one of them will overwrite the other, no matter what.
Yeah, that's fair.
And that's why we can't have fun things like Son of Muspel. That Crucible warlord isn't in the game anymore because he appeared in an event not long ago.
Alright.
Stuff like that. Things you pick up when you talk to the Crucible guys.
Yeah.
Interesting people talk to.
Still waiting for Crucible Boss Mercerer. It's going to happen one of these days.
It's gotta. The coolest character. Apparently a new Crucible is in the works, though, people listening, so be excited for that.
Be
I
ready
am.
for it. It will be high in time. We'll see if somebody can beat it. There's a few Crucible Slayers out there, so they make it their living.
And I mean, the king of it himself has risen from the dead.
Yes,
Death is back
Death
wandering the
Destroyer
hall
has returned.
after worshipping the devil. Apparently, that's the best in joke I've ever heard of anyone say.
All right.
I won't explain who said who, but apparently the written confession to say that he worships the devil, and that's how he wins. And someone took it seriously.
I think we've covered most everything on the list to go over. Mm-hmm. Is there anything you'd like to plug?
No, I'm alright. I'm all good. Like, everybody knows my channel. Well, not everyone, but like a lot of people do. So we've actually yeah, that's true. We've been climbing slowly. Like, before this, I've been doing about 20 subs a month. I'm up to like 50 subs this month.
Nice.
Hey, that's nice.
So
always good to climb.
Yeah, no, it's been good. It's been good lately. Been enjoying it. I guess I've been posting more too. I had a kind of a lull for 2 or 3 months there, but now I'm back into posting more consistently again, which was good. So yeah, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. I had a great time talking about everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Always happy to have folks on. I was hoping we could get, more of Team Australia, but at the same time, I understand sometimes, some stuff comes up or power goes out one way or the other. We got you guys on, so.
Well, look, we'll try and you have to get us back on when we're in top 3.
You know what's going to happen. We're going to do some following up for sure when we get to top cut, top 3. I'm hoping to get a couple more World Cup teams. I was talking to, I think, Team Germany, Team South America. I think one more on there. So we've got at least like 3 or 4 more weeks out with Team World Cups. Guesting on to join us and discuss both the game as well as World Cup and how they're doing in it. Axel, you got anything you want to plug?
I'll do the usual and plug Dornstash as amazing artist. He did my profile picture, to which some people have seen it. It's a beautiful little crab. That would be everything will be our buddies on Instagram, space between each, and Drew Lee Clark on Instagram.
All right.
No matter what we do for shoutouts, we'll never beat LCFRs. They were too wholesome for us.
No, yeah, LCFR's got the most wholesome plugs ever, so I'm just going to go with selfish plugs and plug deck slots, like I always do, because now that I have Jagatai Khan, we are really, the need for deck slots is super bad. Like, I don't have any slots for Sisters decks or Agents of the Sigilate deck, and you throw in 4th Warlords, we need at least 2 rows of deck slots with whatever the most recent patch that gets done to the game. Let's do it. Come on, Everguild. Make it work. Make it happen.
They've come this far. Don't stop.
That's right. I'm also going to plug Barnight Legions. We just had a Barnight Legions today. We had the Ye Old World special. Barnight Legions is typically in the evenings on the North American continent, but for the next month or 2, I'm planning on trying to move it up several hours. So today was our first one where we had it scheduled earlier for the people who are on the European continent to be able to participate. So we had 8 players make it out. That is a casual tournament. This week we played no warlords that showed up on the May meta report. And the next tournament, we're probably going to do the same thing, but there will be a June meta report. So that will be a different list of warlords that are not allowed. No crucial choice, no Corn's favor, or Corn's favored. It's either which way, no KC. And we'll go from there. So if you're interested or you've heard about Barnight Legions, but your time zone has not been conducive, keep an eye out, because the next several tournaments we're going to try to schedule so that they're a lot more accessible to those folks who are typically sleeping when we're all drinking and playing cards. So
yeah. Sadly, couldn't make it because I didn't want to be absolutely hammered for a major session for my D&D.
It will get because drinking is not required, but it is heavily encouraged. It makes the.
I mean, if I didn't, I'd be disobeying my fellow Canadians. It's part of the rules.
What you gotta do? Makes it fun.
Got to do what you got to do.
All right. Well, yeah, Vapix, thank you for making it on. Always a good time. Hopefully, we'll be talking to you guys. Top 3 placement. I'm keeping my picks. So, I think you guys.
I believe in my Canucks.
I'm keen to fight the Nordics. I would love to hit them up round 1 of the elimination.
Ooh, big upset. I don't know.
Yeah.
Kind of going to that now, really quick. Do you guys know if the placement in the group stages affects seeding at all in the top cut?
I imagine it will, but I have no idea.
Yeah, that could be interesting.
Yeah. I have to make sure we come 4th in our bracket then.
That's right. Just like, hey, listen, we need this. We need this win.
Got a tank.
Got a tank. Yep. All right.
Even before getting a duplicate blood game saying just gives you 5 gems.
Yeah, at that point, I mean, that you have to ask yourself, like, is it worth it? Do you really want the card back that you don't have? Then maybe
5
that's
gems,
the way to go.
That would be funny.
It would be 400 gems, but still, it would be funny if it's just gems for getting that far. Oh man, that'd be a slap in the face.
That would be more. But see, the sad thing is that would be more than everybody who didn't make top 3.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's exactly right.
All right, well, we'll cut it out here for now. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Vapix, thank you for making it. And next week, we'll be back on talking with more players. So, everybody, take care. Bye.
See ya.
The sunlight dims.
This has been another episode of the Warp Chatter Podcast. Thank you for listening.
Eternal loyalty!
Burn it! Burn it all!
Well executed!